All right, so well, I messed up the lighting. It looks like. Let's try it that way. And I'm gonna add one more light. You'll bear with me a moment. All right, now thinking now we can see each other. I'm gonna cut the phone off. This is gonna be one of those videos where I did not actually prepare, so just kind of bear with me a moment. All right. So more or less, this is going to be our Christmas special, and today we're going to be talking about low-income housing in Section 8. And as far as introductions are concerned, I am the owner of Section8Consultant.com. I work with hundreds, if not over 1,000 people a year. I also work with landlords, and today we're going to be talking about not only the questions you'll have, in just in case you're wondering, you have this is a live video, and you are able to chat with me depending on the type of device. So you should see a chat window on your phone, possibly your TV, laptop, desktop, tablet, so on. Now, the quick announcements. If you live in the Chicago area, Illinois, around Chicago, I'm going to go over a few counties in the next video. So we just signed a landlord for about 88 properties, and the criteria for these homes are pretty low. I've set them that way so they're not absurd, which means if you live out in that area, you will not have to make 3 times the rent. I eliminated that. I told the landlord that we would not be doing that. So hopefully that'll be helpful. Now, if y'all have questions about Section 8 housing or low-income housing, please feel free to ask if you want, since I don't really have a specific plan for the video. Outside of that, we're going to be talking about some of the updates for the holidays and for 2022 in relation to the services that I offer, some of the changes the federal government is rolling out, and what you should anticipate if you're struggling through the system. So as of now, HUD and most housing authorities around the nation are closed, not answering their phones is what I mean by that, which is not that far of a cry of what usually goes on. So, it's normally hard to reach them and get anybody on the line, and now it's practically impossible. I know I've dealt with several already. I'm not suggesting that every housing authority around America is closed, but let me tell you something you guys need to know. Everybody that attempts to deal with Section 8 housing, low-income housing, affordable housing, attempts to do it during the summer. It's a terrible idea to do that then. Let me tell you why. One, as we get to the end of the year for December, which is going to be coming and going very quickly, what you see is most corporate cycles, people try to burn the rest of the budget, which means in most cases, if there is a voucher to give, they've likely already given it. However, what changes is for the new fiscal year, which is January 1st, not that far away, at that point, they get new federal funding. And that's when most people are not attempting to do anything until summer. That is an unwise move. If you're considering low-income housing, subsidized housing, portable housing, or even getting a voucher, you should be starting on that process now. That way, the minute they are floating in cash for a lot of these federal programs for your vouchers and so on, so you're ready for January. Also, the period in which Americans choose whether low income, want a voucher or not a voucher to move is generally during the summer. People are really not looking to do it January, February, and March. Look, you'd be wise to do it now. In addition to a lot of funding and not that many people seeking these services out means that you have an opportune time. It's an impeccable time to do this. Now, beyond those basic things we probably already understood about Section 8 housing and, vouchers, January, as I mentioned, January through February, I think also is a time when I get pretty hammered by people. I know last year I was working 15 and 18 hours a day working on cases. So for those of you who are new on the channel, I offer casework. And a differentiating factor between casework when you're dealing with your social worker, your caseworker at a homeless shelter, or other services are most people that go to school for social work, counseling, and casework only deal with connecting you with resources. It means they're great as a counselor, social worker, but they're usually terrible at understanding the ins and outs and nuances of Section 8 vouchers and so on. And why is that? Well, look, it took me a long time, decades, to figure it out. Okay, they don't teach that to those folks. They teach them a very elemental portion of it, but not to the degree of where you would actually be able to be highly effective. So counselors, social workers, and so on tend to more connect you, which means I have a list of phone numbers. This is my problem. Now I'm going to give you a phone number, and you will now become somebody else's problem. You see my point? It's sad, but it's real. How do I know this? Because a lot of people that are subscribed to this channel are caseworkers and counselors, and they'll quite broadly tell you, hey, I've got a bunch of cases I've been lucky to work on. And in fact, I've had homeless shelters, caseworkers, and social workers dump their caseload on me, 20, 30 cases at a time. Same thing with nonprofits. They love to collect money, but very often when it comes to doing the actual work, they're either inadept of doing it, not skilled enough, or frankly get nowhere with it. So nonprofits call me. They dump their caseloads on me. Some of them y'all may be familiar with, but for privacy purposes, we're not going to say who they are. So I see that some questions are coming in, and I'm going to try to answer those in that live chat window. If you are watching this video later, just realize this video was published 12/10/2021 and will likely last around, 6 p.m. Central Standard Texas time, Central or Mountain time. So if you find it at a later point, you will not be able to chat with me. All right, so going on, Daniel Faulkner says, I live in Tennessee, and I found out that I have to move out of my apartment due to the landlord no longer accepting Section 8. However, my housing authority never notified me or myself and have 6 weeks to move. Well, Danielle, first of all, there are established rules when you become a Section 8 landlord, and without proper notice, then that's not a possibility. Look, a lot of landlords will turn on a dime. Hey, you've got to go. We're going to move back in. I've got sick family. We need the house you're living in. That's not adequate. Okay, that's not enforceable under law, unless a judge makes a judgment saying you have to leave or you are giving proper notice. Okay, then that's not enforceable. Landlords taping notices to the door. You have 3 days to vacate. That's not enforceable. Let me tell you what, that is like toilet paper. You put in your printer, it prints out some bullshit, and then you guys fall for it. Same thing with evictions. If you haven't seen a judge and he hasn't actually passed a judgment to have you move out under an eviction, taping an eviction notice to a door doesn't mean jack. Always, let me tell you something, because they can go down there, they can actually get the paper file and they can fill it all out, make it look real, but it doesn't mean they file it. It means it's a scare tactic and you weren't smart enough to check on that. So you move out and you find out later they never filed anything. They just went down there, went through 99.9% of the process, but left out the most important part, paying and filing. If they don't pay and file, then that eviction notice sitting on your door, that's a joke. So let's go on back to Danielle. Again, she has a few other questions here. I've been unable to find housing. Well, Danielle, that's a nationwide issue. It's not actually particular to you about the housing search. It's difficult. There's no magic behind that. A lot of you are out there searching for places. The problem is the pandemic made a lot of people lost their jobs, and in return, 40 million or close to 40 million people were evicted. And now they've entered the Section 8 and low-income housing market, a lot of which these people have never been a part of that. They've always been middle class. And so they've strained the system to its limit. Okay. In addition to that, you have another up to 7 million people that were likely owners of a home, which means they had a mortgage paid to a bank and they stopped paying those mortgages. So 47 million people. Look, as I've said in many of my videos in the past, there are at no time during HUD and Section 8's history, 60 years or better, have we ever had 47 million vouchers. So you see what the problem is. People are migrating all over trying to find places. Some places are easy, some are not. But there's nothing special about it. You're calling or you're driving there. You're filling out your information, and either you have the right age, income, and other criteria, or you don't, and you just simply don't get it, or you're waiting for an ambulance to pull up somebody to die and move out the property. I know a lot of you ask me, hey, man, can I hire you to do the search part? Well, no, that's for a real estate agent or a broker, okay? Because there's no magic goes into that. Could you imagine what it would cost to keep me on a payroll to sit there and make 900 calls a day? It's my advice is hire a telemarketer that's used to being on the phone all day and doing a worthless job, because that's what it is. Because a lot of this just comes down to the brass tacks is you've got to get out there, make those calls, and see if things are out there. Now, for those of you that actually need to be able to get Section 8 vouchers and subsidies, one of the hardest parts that is most convoluted, well, that's where I would come in. But after you receive those things, just going around and shopping for an apartment is not something I do. I'm not a licensed real estate agent, and nor am I interested in doing that. Hell, I'm halfway across the country from most people, and so it doesn't make sense financially. It doesn't make sense geographically. So, do I have resources where I connect you with certain things? Absolutely. I mean, there are certain things you pick up along the road that are better than others, especially those of you that are simply utilizing Google and other search engines to find information. But it's better than that, but it's not near as good as having a broker or real estate agent. So I'm going to take a look at a few more questions here. And one thing I want to tell you guys, we're going to integrate a little bit some other information, and that information is going to be in regards to me moving out of state. And some of the nice things going on there, and a few holiday updates. Okay, these videos become tedious when you've made 300 of them or better. You start to lose grip of reality of what you're. In other words, I have to change the tone of the videos occasionally. It does to get absolute just boring. Look, I understand this program very well. I preached about 300 videos. I like to incorporate a little bit of my own life and other things to make it spice it up, because nobody wants to hear about a voucher twice a week in a video. Okay. Now, those of you got questions, I get that. All right, moving on down. Alfredo Penchio, Mr. J, I just got my housing choice voucher for $1,900, all utilities included, but I couldn't find an apartment until I found a studio for $1,700 a year. If I want to move, would they still pay the $19? Well, it depends if that. Well, so first step is absorbing. Well, another house. So you're porting first, and then the other housing authority is absorbing, and it depends. Let's think about it logically here, because this is one of the few things that are logical. If you take a $1,900 expensive voucher from the city of New York and you move down to the flats out there in Mississippi, where the highest rent ever known was $433, then likely what will happen is it's a terrible use of your voucher. And so what happens is when one housing authority communicates portability and then the other housing authority accepts the absorbing end of this deal, whatever benefits and privileges you have in that one county does not necessarily mean it's going to translate to the next county. So if the other housing authority says, hey, we appreciate this big old voucher, but look, you're only renting a $700 house. So, yeah, I think you probably keep most of the money, but a lot of it would go underutilized. In other words, they just wouldn't use a fraction of it, or they may decide to recalculate it. Big part of how vouchers are calculated is going to be on your income and what you qualify. Which you might qualify in New York may not qualify you at all in another county. That's why portability, getting absorbed by the voucher being absorbed, can be a bit of a process. Most clients spend 2 to 4 weeks trying to go through that to figure out whether or not where they can move and whether it would work. I know, because I do. I handle a lot of portability requests. All right, I'm going to take a breath for a minute. I started this video without being prepared because I didn't want to be prepared. I just wanted to make a video. So, and I'm going to take a swig of my little 99-cent energy drink. By the way, it is sugar-free, so I don't have to worry about that for those of you who are worried about my health. All right, so Lilia Jules says, hello, how was the family, and how was your move? So let's talk about that real quick. We're going to switch gears from the intent of the video over to personal issues, okay? For those of you that are new to the channel, I am going to be migrating from Houston, Texas, just outside of Houston, and I'm taking me and that big bunch of cats that I have, and most of you that have been around, the ones that aren't around most, know that I have a lot of cats, and they're a big part of the channel. I've got a giant cat as well, and most people know he's kind of my celebrity. If you look carefully there, let's see. There's one cat. She's snoozing. I think she had a little bit too much of the turkey. So anyway, anyways, we're migrating to the Ozarks, which crosses several states. As you may know, the Ozarks run through Arkansas, up in Missouri, and so on. I bought a part of a forest, and I'm moving into that forest. And unfortunately, it's in an area where it's unrestricted, unincorporated. You do whatever you want. My neighbors could build a mall. My next neighbor can build a store, and I can build a home. So, as y'all know, we'll be living out in an RV for a while in a city park, that they have designed to accept RVs. And so this channel will quickly have half and half. I'll be doing the normal things that I've always done in this channel for over its 7-year course. And then you will see me piece by piece build a home. Okay. This is not me calling a contractor to come build a home. You'll see me do it and hopefully lose lots of weight. So, just some quick updates about that. So we're still looking for those probably near August around the move time because I don't have a way to keep a 20-foot RV, okay, right now without incurring costs for no reason. Things we're looking in right now is we have electric on dirt road, and it's literally a dirt road, okay? I'm not joking. For those of you that want to check it out, click on my photo. It'll bring you to the main page. And on the main page, you'll see a row of links. And what I'm going to say, a community page, you'll see hundreds of posts. And it's a little forest with deer, black bears, and everything. So we're going to first put up another light pole in front of my property. Then second to that, I've got to have a drill for water. There's no water lines out there, folks. There's no internet. There's no nothing. Everything that I want out there, I must bring to that place. So if I want internet, it'll be satellite. Got to drill a well, a literal well, 150 feet down. So, hey, the good news is I won't pay the city for the water. Wouldn't that be nice? And then after that, after the house is built, I'm going to do solar panels, and I want to be 100% energy efficient, which means the electric company, well, I can't say the expletives I'd love to use right now, but they can just take a walk because that's the last time I'm paying them. You know what I'm saying? So I will connect the energy out there, but I want to be 100% no bill. The panels produce it all. All right, skipping back, I'm going to take on a few more questions about Section 8. So we're going to keep going back and forth like this, and I'll keep telling you more of the story about the Ozark and my little forest and a bunch of cats and the crazy man that's going out there, which is me. Okay, so Daniel Faulkner says, I have to be out of here by December 31st. Well, that's a pretty tight line, Miss Faulkner. First of all, Christmas week is next week. By the way, guys, I will continue to take phone consults through Christmas week, which is next week. What I will not do is answer a bunch of emails. Yes, y'all can email me, but it's unlikely I'm going to do it quickly. I simply have better things to do, to be frank with y'all, okay? I answer these damn emails to the tune of thousands every month, and I'm not going to do that Christmas week. So there are some folks that need to send me 5 to 10 emails every day, and in that case, it's time to get some therapy, see the psychiatrist, because you're spinning out of control. I'm not doing that, okay? The same thing with my writers. I have people that write me epic stories. They're novels that could be published. So you get an email with 55,000 words. Sometimes it would take about an hour and a half to read it. The curious thing about writing these long emails and live stories is it has no effect on whether or not you get a voucher or whether I'd be a use to you. So you literally just had a moment where you lost grip of reality and wrote all that stuff in that email, and it's all irrelevant. So, yeah, I'm not answering emails during the holiday. I'll answer for those of you that are new that need help. But some of you old timers doing that to me, y'all got to know that's naughty, and you might just get some coal in your stocking for Santa Claus. For those that believe in it, you need a little bit of coal. Lilia Jewel, hello. How's your family? Hope your move was pleasant. How's it? Well, we haven't moved yet. Look. This area here, you can't see it, but it's a wreck. I've been packing, and it's, we're talking about, this is going to be a minute, okay? This is a lot. I do a little bit at a time when I feel good about doing it. Candy Girl, hey, good to see you back in the channel. So Candy Girl says, in the meantime, I am staying in extended stay suite for now until everything goes through. Well, Candy Girl, I think that, things were going to start moving the day after Christmas. I think things will start to move, and then I really think things are going to start moving along just fine for January. A lot of people have been pressing me in this past week, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. Well, look, let's not act like we're crazy. Everybody knows it's the holidays. Housing authorities are filled with county employees, and they're not required to work during Christmas. Nobody is going to work for anybody that's going to tell their family, by the way, I'm going to go turn the lights on at the housing authority because Nancy, Sally, and Dave need a voucher. Nobody gives a shit about that during Christmas week. So that's the thing, guys. We have to be reasonable. People have families, they got other things to do. Everybody's got an emergency. And by the way, Candy Girl, this is not me trying to give you a lecture. I'm just saying in general about other people that have commented about this stuff. So. Candy Girl also goes on to say, question, I don't have any income at the moment because I just moved. Will I still be qualified with a zero income? No, you will not. They'll reject that application flat out. Now, Candy Girl, one thing you can do is pursue continuum of care coordinated entry with a zero income. You'd have better odds. The housing authority will flat out turn you down with that. I would not waste your application. I would withdraw the application until you have an income, or not report that you don't have one until you're ready, because you'll end up setting yourself back big time with that. You have to meet rent responsibility, and not having a job does not look good for the housing authority. For those, if you find a moment where you're not making income, that's the best time to take up Uber, whatever you can do to show something trickling in. But the last thing you want to tell the housing authority is, hey, I need help. Housing authority says, I'm going to give you a voucher to cover it 70, 80%. Then you tell them, hey, there's no chance in hell you'll ever get that other 20%. They don't want to hear that. So just, that's the realistic point. Alfredo Pancho, well, it looks like your comment was retracted. I don't know if it was profanities, or sometimes YouTube decides when a comment's allowed and when it's not, guys. So I don't control that. Stephen Bridge, does Section 8 go by rooms? That is contentious on the states. So some states look at the number of rooms, and some states look at whether or not it's just a home. So you would need to ask a more specific question about that, Stephen, for me to be able to better answer it. Candy Girl says, I'm here in San Antonio, Texas, so you're one of my neighbors since I'm in Houston. I just put it out of Hawaii. Okay, well, you came from a tropical island down to the damn desert. What were you thinking? I completed my paperwork with SAHA. I am just waiting for them to review and get back to me. That sounds good. So, if they're doing the portability packet for you, one portability specialist to another, they'll probably start combing through the emails and paperwork just after Christmas. So you probably just want to hang tight on that. It's important that we have realistic expectation during the holidays. It's going to take them a bit of time to catch up. So hopefully you started pre-Christmas on that. Daniel Beluga, hey man. So Daniel is my number one commenter. He's my big super supporter. Guy's been around a long time around the channel, so I just want to give Daniel some credit for being a number one commenter. Daniel, you sure you're not using a bot? Taraboo. Right, so we got an interesting name. I like that, Taraboo. So Taraboo is going to be my first interesting new name. How much is a phone console? $45 for us to have a discussion. And the reason that I put a very small price on that these days, I used to charge $60 for that. Okay. The reason I put a small price is because a lot of people just simply do not have a lot of money. Okay. Number two, a lot of people just want to determine whether or not the services that I offer are going to be effective for what they need. And so the quickest way to do that is to do it that way. And the quickest way for me to feel like I'm not just working for free is obviously to charge that. So it's $45 plus tax. City of Houston does require 6.25% tax, regardless of you being in a different state. So just so you all understand, I have to pay taxes on any money that's received. Now, once we determine that, you determine whether or not you need casework. Everybody's case is different, man. I got to tell you, you guys present some of the most ridiculous cases. Some of them are stressful. Some are long and dragged out. Some are complicated. I don't mean that offensively, of course, but I mean everybody's case is literally different, and they go from one extreme to another. About 3% of my cases are minor, where they call, it's just a couple of questions, So, for instance, today I spoke to a lady, and here's how it can get interesting. So, I do answer the phone, and I don't sometimes charge people for that. I just have a few questions. Well, her questions turned it into a 50-minute phone call. See, that's where things go bad for me. I can't spend that kind of time for free. 52 minutes. Are you kidding me? So I let it go. I understand that some of my older clients, they like to talk, but 52 minutes is too much. Christina Haynes. Hello, welcome to the channel. Happy holidays. For students, I am a student in a master's program, and my current BA benefit is in the process of being appealed by the board. So I see that you've got some kind of case going on, that you're probably using HUD Bash or some other program. Um, I don't know enough about what you're telling me about to come to a logical conclusion and give you a good answer. I hope that appeal does work out. I don't know what it's for. So OA127, ONO, I was skipped. I don't really know what that means or what relevance that comment has. You'll need to expand your comment to say a little bit more. James Billy or Belly, or I don't even know, but James, we'll just call you James. Hello, how you doing? I like how you said hello, y'all. So that tells me you potentially a Southerner. I'm originally from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and out here in Houston, and then moving over to Arkansas. I can't seem to leave the South. So Christine Haynes goes on to comment and say, I actually applied in March and was pushed around in the program by a local state government, only to discover that the federal funding was being misappropriated. Okay. Well, that's a common theme. That's why HUD DC sues housing authorities left and right. In fact, since the new president entered office and appointed Marissa Fudge into office, she has been on a tear. Well, she's been on the warpath. She's been suing housing authorities for misappropriating funds. I don't know if that's obviously in relation to what you're doing or what housing authority you're dealing with, but yeah, HUD takes it seriously. Just so you guys understand, your county where the housing authority is located is run by county employees. It is not HUD. It is not the feds in the building and processing your information. That is all your state and county doing that. HUD is in DC. HUD also has regional offices. When HUD finds out about bad policies, it comes down. It's the police against the housing authority. They're not in cahoots. One can wreck the other one. Trust me, I know. I've utilized them to tear up housing authorities before that have employees that decide they're going to play God with people and they can say and do and act in any fucking manner they want, and they violate federal code, federal regulation. So we light their ass up and then call HUD. That's the best way to handle the situation. Use the law in your favor. Jasmine Victoria, good morning, Jazzy. How are you? Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Gale Resources. Here's another person that works in a similar field as me. She's excellent at what she does, and she's been a long-time supporter, both Jasmine and Gale Resources. Beantown, another long-time member of the channel. How you doing, Beantown? Christine Haynes says, I'm also from Baton Rouge. Well, Christine, the odds are 50-50 chance if you were from Baton Rouge, then you might have been born at the Lady of the Lake Hospital back in the day. Now, I don't know your age. You could easily be up there in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and you might have been born in a different hospital. But most Cajun and Creole babies were popped out at the Lady of the Lake for Baton Rouge. I believe that's correct. There's another hospital, but I won't mention it because it's the old charity hospital and nobody likes it. Candy Girl says, hey to Danielle. Christine Haynes, Montgomery, Alabama. Boy, now, Montgomery's got a long history. Some good, some bad, but so does Baton Rouge. Monette Jenkins, hey, so Monette's another longtime member of the channel. Appreciate you having you. Happy holidays to you. Christine Haynes, I reckon I need to speak with someone who's got some sense around here. Well, that always makes sense. Hey, what I always tell people, man, look, if your car is broke, get the mechanic on the phone. If the air conditioner broke, call the AC man. If you got Section 8 issues, you can call HUD or you can call me. That's the way it rolls. There aren't that many consultants back. There's not that many left in America. I can probably count on one hand. So Christine Haynes goes on to say, my stepmother works there. I am definitely in my 30s. Excellent. Good to hear. Coco Lynn, another interesting name. Do you like HUD? I do like HUD. Just so y'all wonder, I'm adversarial with housing authorities, not HUD. HUD just cuts the check to the housing authorities. I have no problem with HUD. HUD is not a problem to any of you guys. In fact, when there's problems with housing authorities, you take it to the police, and that is HUD. Okay? Those are the feds. That's why I'm always disappointed when y'all guys try to say bad shit about HUD. It's not them. Now, they do have some ridiculous policies, but most of the things that are happening to you are happening to you through the housing authority and county employees. Nothing to do with HUD whatsoever. Moving on. Let's see. T. Hey, man, how you doing? Happy holidays. Can you speak about universal vouchers? Thank you. Okay, so let's talk about that. We talked about it early. Matter of fact, this time last year, universal vouchers. So, at one point, I think if the pandemic wouldn't have happened, we would have had universal vouchers. So, if y'all are curious as to what that is and how that would work out, they were going to basically terminate Section 8 as you know it. Okay. And the only requirement would have been that you would have been low income, and that would have been the end. You simply get a voucher. Now, that would have created a housing crisis because we naturally do not have enough properties and vouchers. Well, we'd have enough, but there wouldn't be enough properties for every low income person to do it. So there are positive and negative sides. Unfortunately, Biden's plan to do so, okay, whether you consider it liberal or conservative, um, didn't was never came to fruition because the pandemic has taken over life as we know it pretty much. And so a lot of those things that he intended to do, we ended up spending trillions on trying to deal with this pandemic. So universal housing vouchers probably just got its big set off. That discussion may not come to the table for another one or two presidents. So do I think that universal vouchers are a part of the picture anymore? No. And considering the amount of money that has been spent in this nation to keep things up where we didn't crash as a nation, while everybody lost their job, I don't really think that there will be any consideration of luxury programs like that. So, unfortunately, I'd have to say that universal housing vouchers are no longer even in consideration for the next decade. If it happened, I'd be surprised. But how are we going to spend that kind of money on something else? We've already tapped the government coffers for, well, we're bleeding the country dry right now. Um, all right, so I'm going to skip over. We've been talking about HUD and low income housing and all that for a bit. So I'm going to go back to the move because I have a lot of you that are interested in that and the cats, lots of cats that I have. So as y'all know, I'm leaving August, late August, probably around the 20th, 21st, something like that. But we're connect. The first goal is get the RV in the park and get comfortable with the kitties, and that's going to be interesting. Trying to keep them nearby. Hopefully, nobody's going to run off. The first thing is going to go out to the forest, and we're going to call to have a pole installed, and then a temporary utility box put out there. Once that happens, I've got to cut a little bit of the forest. I like my forest. I do not want to chop down all the trees. I do not want a lawn. Nice thing about forest is there's no lawn. I mean, there's a lawn, but it's natural. So of course I'll clean up all the sticks and all, but I would rather just the trees in the forest, okay? Not a flower bed, none of that stuff. Keep it what it is. Because we are right next to a national park, and it doesn't make sense for me to do all that. So after the poll, we'll grate a little bit enough to get the RV in there, and that will move me there onto the property, and that will bring my cost at zero outside of internet, food, gas, and insurance and so on, the regular stuff that I have. Then we'll be getting a truck in to drill a well around 150 feet, and if I'm unlucky, about 250 feet down. But I will be tapping into Ozark Spring, which means that water is clean, crystal clear, clean. But it still has a filtration process just in case. But never will I see a water bill ever again for any reason unless somebody else, like Nestle, decides it's going to bottle water next door and suck up the whole thing. So I hope that doesn't happen. Now, after that, in conjunction with that, y'all will see me build essentially pier and beam system. That means I'm not going to lay a foundation. Laying a foundation requires big equipment, trucks, and other things to come in, and then pouring a slab and so on. Well, the problem with that is it means I got to start cutting even more trees down. Before you know it, the whole lot's cleared, and then all I did was move myself right back in the city, except it's just in a rural area. Who the hell wants to do that? I am very adamant about cutting trees. I'll actually find a spot where I know there's the least amount of trees to put this house because I'm not chopping this forest now. Beyond that, so pier and beam system floor, and then I'm gonna tarp it all, and then it'll be probably winter again for 2022, and I'll see how well I acclimate to the temperatures. They're going to be slightly lower than what I'm used to down here in Houston. And so you'll see me tag away. I think the first thing that actually will happen is I'm going to build a mini laundromat, a washer, pier, and be well, probably just a flat floor, washer dryer, connect it up, a little bitty roof over washer and dryer, put it right behind the RV. You know you got to have that. I am not hanging out at no damn laundromat. Many of you utilizing vouchers or being low income know exactly what it's like to have to dedicate part of your life hanging out some shitty laundromat that steals your car. Nobody wants to do that. I swear to God, I will hook up a dryer and a washer in the middle of damn forest. I do not care. And then you watch me do it. All right, so skipping back to the questions you guys are going to have. It's besides my bizarre story of opening a laundromat in the middle of the forest. Well, I'm just letting you know I'm doing that because RVs don't come with a washer and dryer. So, yep. Also, I'm hanging bird feeders. We're looking to attract deers and everything. I'm still working out the natural wildlife with the bears. I do not want bears snacking on my cats. So it's not a fear, but I do have some concerns. And if I have to, I will put up 6,000 linear feet of fencing to prevent that, at least for the immediate area in defense of my animals. Okay. These cats don't know better. A lot of them just don't. And the last thing I want to do is have them picked off one by one. So there's probably, I need to talk to wildlife and fisheries and other people out there to see how much of this is just an overblown fantasy, a bear is coming out and eating cats, and then what's real. So I need to figure out from locals what's appropriate. Okay. So moving on down, Christian Haynes says, yep, trees are great. And Coco Lynn, haha, I love it when you talk about how you don't want a yard. I don't want a damn yard. So you get the yard, you got to pay for the shitty grass, then you got to mow the shit. I got enough stuff to do without trying to clear a whole forest. And then let's find a new way for me to run up a $900 bill to have somebody bringing a bush hog every day. And for what other reason? Then somebody's got to take the logs. That's, you're really just creating this big bill. Look, the bottom of the forest is the bottom of a forest. It's a beautiful thing. It doesn't need to be maintained. Now, if I see a few ugly branches out there, yeah. But I mean, I'm not going to create something I got to sit there and invest in, because what are you doing? You're defeating the purpose of trying to reduce bills. So lawnmowers, go buy $10,000 lawnmower and all the other shit that goes with that. Well, look, the forest mows itself. The birds, the bees, all, and might be adding some bees out there. So I'll find out whether or not I can have a beehive. I don't know if that's going to work out with the cats and the honey and all that. And also I have concerns about the bears trying to steal the honey, but I'm trying all those different things we've all thought about quietly at one point in our life. Wouldn't it be neat to have a beehive? Wouldn't it be neat to hang bird feeders everywhere and have 20, 50 different kind of birds? So I'm going to try some of those things, and then we'll see how ridiculous it is or if it's not. But the good news about it is it's my choice, my money, and if I want to pay, for 20 pounds of bird seed and hang the shit in the trees, that's what I'm going to do. That's something I never could do in the city, because the city tells you will mow the grass, you will comply, or we'll put a levy on your home and we'll sell it, and then we'll give you a roll of socks and a rubber mat at the homeless shelter. You will do what we tell you to do because you live in the city. Well, fuck them. I live out there in an unincorporated area. They don't tell me anything. That's exactly the way I want it. If I want to have a bonfire, run naked in my yard, then that's exactly what the hell's going to happen. We don't even have municipal services. We don't have a police department, nothing. I hope that doesn't de-evolve into a bunch of neighbors with shotguns. So this thing's your mind does run wild. If it truly is a little bit Wild West, then what all could really happen? And no, I'm not actually going to run through the forest, without clothing. That would be a terrible idea in the middle of Arkansas. I don't want to have to visit the mental health facility. But you see my examples, a big difference between being under the rule of thumb of the city and the county, and there's freaking zoning policies, and having something of your own, which you can do what you want. The thing is, I'm not trying to do what I want. I'm just simply trying to live in the forest. Okay? I'm not building a junkyard or something offensive out there, just a home in a forest. So I think that nobody should have an issue with that, as long as I'm not building something deadly, a house on one pier, like I'm building a house like a birdhouse on one post, and it's deadly and it could fall over and kill me, So that's the whole point. Freedom, my friends, something that most of us are unaccustomed to. People lived this way a long time ago. They didn't have the resources we do today. But when people homesteaded in this country, they didn't have anything. You think they called the energy company? Hey, excuse me, can I get a water line? Do you think the trash company ran by your house in 1820? No, of course not. It's not that far of a crime where we were 200 years ago. So I'm adding the conveniences we need in order to make it work, and it'll work. Trust me. All right, guys. So I ranted enough of that. Let's get on back to why you're really here, and that's to get these vouchers as quickly as possible. All right, so I'm gonna scroll back here. Lydia Jewell, Georgia Dream Home Buying Program managers helped me with HUD Section 811 department voucher to buy a home if Georgia has nothing in place. That's Lydia. You put a lot into that big paragraph there, but I can tell you that yes, you can utilize your voucher payment, regardless of the type it is, in order to use rather than paying the voucher to the landlord. That money, the housing authority paying the landlord, you pay it directly towards your mortgage, regardless of it's section 811, 504, 202, and so on. Coco Lynn, I love when you talk about how you don't want a yard. Okay, so I covered that one already. Jesse Billy, congratulations. I call it a treehouse. That's exactly what it is, folks. A treehouse. We all had that. Well, when you're 6, you want to live in a treehouse. Well, I might just go do that. So, Gale Resources says, Cato, I'm not quite sure. OA127 says, grow peppermint and keep out the pests. There will be some gardening there. And one thing I'm going to check out is not so much a gardening aspect. And I do have the right to raise cattle and chickens out there if I want to. I don't want to. But I will do one thing. I'm looking at fruit trees and other things. And one thing I'm going to start a tradition to do is I'm planting Christmas trees, okay? And I'm going to do it on the property line. And that way I plant one every year. So in about 2 years, my first Christmas tree will be fully grown. And then you plant another tree, and as time goes on, each tree will be mature and ready to put in the living room. Now, that's the only trees I'm chopping down, okay? So every year to 2 year, you plant a Christmas tree, and it'll be big enough to put in your living room. And so I'll have a robe as I work through the Christmas trees over the years. So I've always wanted to do that. And so, yeah, and I'm not cheap. I could, but let me tell you something. Out there in North Arkansas, there's not a Christmas tree lot. You either get it from the Home Depot. Look, if you're living in the forest, does it really make sense for you to go and spend $123 on a Christmas tree when you can simply grow it in your yard? How much sense does that make? I could grow 100 of them. It wouldn't matter. So, all right. So Alfredo says, Mr. J, the question is, my voucher is $1,900. If I decide to move in a year, does my voucher still stand for $1,900 for a new place? Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question about that 1,900. So that 1,900 is based on rent reasonableness for the city you're in. If you move to a city where the rent reasonableness is lower, then you'll have the 1,900 with you, but they're going to change it to whatever the rent reasonableness is for that city. So if you're thinking you're going to go to a poor city and state, and then hope that you can be the first person with a Section 8 voucher to move in a mansion, it's not going to happen. So just as a recap, living in New York, you had a $2,000 housing choice voucher. You move down to Baton Rouge, they're going to reduce that voucher down to whatever it is we charge for rent in Baton Rouge, which will probably be around $650. Be careful where you move with that. There are caveats to this stuff. Every housing authority will determine what your voucher is worth and whether or not it needs to be changed. You think the housing authority in the next city over is going to want to carry the extra bill just because you've got a really expensive voucher? No. So you have a chance depending on where you go. The only way to know, Mr. Alfredo, is for me to look into it or you look into it yourself. It's called area median income and rent reasonableness. Each housing authority is supposed to post that, but they don't always do it. Mr. T, I'm with you, Jay, on the washer and dryers. Why not, guys? You know what? So you go get an expensive washer and dryer. I don't need a double stack. But what would be wrong with connecting a washer and dryer in the woods right there temporarily? I don't exactly have anybody that's going to walk through the forest to rob me. So connected to my natural spring and my solar panels, and you have a washer and dryer. Now, when I build the house, I'm going to put that inside, obviously, but I'm not going to buy any expensive ones to put in my let's just say I'm building a shed for the washer and dryer. Okay, guys, I'm not going to. I'm not going to think about this. This is North Arkansas. I would have to get in the wagon. Okay, plan a trip to go into town. I'm not driving 80 miles for some little bitty shitty laundromat. Okay, so we're doing the washer and dryer in the woods in a shed. It'll look normal to a certain degree. Put a tin roof, and they'll be inexpensive in case it gets kind of rusty out there. But yeah, so that makes sense for me. Julia says, no HOA. Man, if I could use about 7 or 8 bad words, profanities to describe HOA. You buy a home, you pay for the home, and what do you turn around and do? You move into a neighborhood where the HOA says, "Oh, by the way, we're so glad you bought the house. Now you can pay rent on it. You can pay your mortgage, and your second mortgage will be us. And you're going to continue to pay into the city coffer till you die. So you don't really own a home. What you got there is you're renting to own plus paying a mortgage." That is the most stupid fucking concept ever in this country. No HOA or their fees are worth what you're actually paying to have somebody out there for $3 an hour to mow your lawn. No, I'm not paying that. In fact, my little forest, I called to see what the taxes are. It's $7.13. Now, how you like that for HOA? Yep, I don't have trash service, water service, or electric service. I'm fine with that. I'll do my own, but yep, no more HOA. I don't need rich people sitting in an office wearing diamond earrings, choking on steak and wine, and they collecting money for no other fucking reason than to line their pockets. That's what builders do when they build a bunch of homes. They create HOAs as a retirement plan to rob you fucking blind for the rest of your life. Even when you pay the house off, you'll continue to gracefully give them access to your checking account till you fucking die. I'm not paying HOAs. I can't stand them. I've never known one of them. If it's up to me, well, I'm not going to say that because I get violated on YouTube. TMJ, I'm with you in the washer and dryers, trying to get a washer and dryer hookup in a reasonable accommodation housing. Well, that's a bit of a plumbing issue there, but thankfully it's not too bad. Running your hots, your colds, and you need 2.5 inch drain plus a vent. You need a 2 inch vent on that, so that's a bit of a process. Gently moving. If I was running naked in the yard, please don't post pictures. Now, it would be somebody out there in the woods, you know what I'm saying, with a gun shooting a quail and then catch me flying across the forest naked. And then let's just hope that those good country folks don't post me there on the Facebook. They Twitter snap me in the woods. So, and some hunters keep cameras out there, so they got so lazy now. They're sitting in a recliner watching their deer camera. So they drive real quickly out there with their little gun and shoot the deer. There ain't going to be any hunting on my lot. We're not killing anything. I catch somebody shooting something in my land, we're going to have to tangle out there. I don't want nobody killing deer. You can do that anywhere else you want. I like things alive, just like the trees. Don't get me wrong. I've hunted squirrel, deer, and all that. Okay, so I'm not a special kind of person because I'm just saying that I would like to keep the ecology of the land the way it is. Moving on, Individuals, goats will eat the grass. Well, if you looked at the land already, the big problem I have is keeping the underbrush down. That's the little part I don't really like because we don't want rats and other shit rolling around. But it's also that underbrush helps with the rabbits and the squirrels and all. They like that. So I got to figure it out. It's a lot of wood. It's a lot of forest to deal with. So, yeah, by the way, guys, if you showed up and you were waiting for Section 8, you just got a taste of how I inject my life into my videos, so you'll have to get used to that. We talk about a little bit of everything. Coco Lillian, we've been brainwashed into thinking we need to prepare a yard. Man, that whole lawn game, man, the minute you start thinking lawns, think about that. From the minute of birth, I need lawn so I can waste an hour of my day every week for the rest of my life. Second to that, I need to buy a bunch of chemicals that I don't need to poison the lawn and everything in it. Then I'm going to go buy myself a nice $500 to $1,000 lawnmower to mow. It's the third house note I've got, the lawn. Then I must keep it pretty because that's what all the other robots do. They want green lawns. So we all just create something that does nothing but burn fucking money out your bank account. Look, the forest, the bugs, the bees, the roly-polies, the birds, the squirrels, all that. they can be my lawn keepers. They work for free. They quite enjoy it. And I really don't give a shit when my neighbors sink, whether or not I mow my forest. So, yeah, I don't want to hear nothing about having to go down to the Sears to go get a $9,000 lawnmower and then create something that costs me money to the day I die. A lot of people want to do that. I don't want to do it. I'll use my money for something different. So, but we've all done it. You know what I'm saying? T freedom. Yes, that's what it's about. I went to that extreme, didn't I? Unincorporated, no restrictions, no nothing. I chose that path. I want to do it. I've lived on both. I'm going to live on the other side. Um, T goes on to say reasonable accommodation, housing in the process. I want my own home. Can I still be eligible HCB? Well, you have to have a voucher in order to utilize to pay the mortgage for the home purchase program. So you got to have both. Goddess of Growth. I am porting from Somerton, South Carolina, but I can't find anything to rent. It's extremely frustrating. Wanting to be in a home before the holidays. You're having the same frustration as most of the nation right now. We all know about the COVID and the pandemic and the nation struggling and all the money we poured out. And problem is, a lot of people didn't pay rent. Now landlords have raised rents 20 to 30% across the country. It is a constant battle, trust me. And I fight it every day with my clients. Uh, People are leaving states because of it. So many people left 20. Look, Arizona got 20% bump from Chicago. California people flooded Arizona and other states. So people are migrating all over just trying to port the voucher to somewhere they can find a place to use. It's a big mess, but things are starting to calm down a little bit for 2022. And what was frustrating will start to dissipate. But I think the consequences of what's happened with this pandemic are going to go on for several years. But I believe that we're starting to see the end of this, and some of the bigger consequences. So, moving on. So Gently Moving says, where am I going to put my trash? I've thought about that, and I'm not burning trash. I will not do that. We've got enough problems with climate and clouds and poisoning things, so I'm not burning trash out there. But I guess I'm going to have to find an agreement or make an agreement with a local business that'll let me use just a little portion of their dumpster or whatever. Or I'll talk with the locals and see what the normal procedure is. But I'm not going to bury trash and poison the water and the land. And I'm certainly not going to burn this shit up out there. I can just imagine a city guy like me going out there and setting that forest on fire, and then ended up with a $250,000 bill, and then the police and everybody else wanting to arrest me for cooking the forest. And then, of course, they have pictures of me naked running across my lawn, which we were joking about earlier, which I'm not going to do, guys. Coco Land, don't forget to talk about your neighbor and his beady eyes. Yes. When you think about that inspiration to move out in the middle of a forest and enjoy life in the Ozarks, to buy your own forest, live out there, build a beautiful home, and do things. Part of that inspiration is owning a home in the city where every time you decide you want to walk out your front door, you have to look at 3 different neighbors that are 100 feet away because everybody's minding everybody's fucking business. You go out to mow the lawn, then you have to talk to them. It's like being in a mental health shelter where everybody, it's like you got to communicate. Nobody can leave it. You can't sit out there sit out there in your boxers and your flip flops and just enjoy air. You're going to get caught up with the neighbor having to know all your business. I'm over that shit, man. Yes, I want neighbors, but I do not want to have to do this game every day where I can't walk out and just simply be alone. It's just, I don't know. I'm done with it. After all these years, I'm done with that. Constantly having to, it's like you're supposed to do this stuff. Moving on. Coco Lynn says, I like you, Jay. I appreciate that. Not everybody likes me, so when I get a good like, I like that. OA127, does becoming a foster parent complicate having a disability voucher in housing? No, it does not. However, it does change the course. So I wouldn't say complicate. Now, what complicates cases is when you put adults on your voucher, okay? And it's better done before. It's better done after than before you receive a voucher. So I do not believe that would complicate it at all. Just some mild changes. Pepper Joe, hello, I'm from New York. Hello. and happy holidays. Let me tell you something, guys. My biggest portion of clients are from New York, Queens, Bronson, Manhattan, California, LA, and Orange. Uh, Also, Chicago is a big fan. Now, obviously, these are big cities. So, yeah, California, New York are my biggest clients, and New Jersey. I've got more little old ladies from New Jersey. I love it. And then I got a lot from Boston. And I love my Boston people because they have a more interesting way of talking than my New Jersey and New York. For those of you that are Southerners that are watching this video, if you ever I'll talk to people all around the nation. As you talk to New Yorker, New Jersey, and Boston, there are very distinct differences in the attitude, the mentalities, and just the way they talk. It's kind of fun. So, Julian, moving the house, the tree house, and the bees, and the honey, and the Christmas tree farm. This is all going to be interesting to follow. Of course, it is. What else have I got to do? What I could go and just be a suburban mom, right? Buy me a cookie cutter house, do the same old shit as everybody else, and then just die breathing the fake carpet and the nasty air. And then we can have picnics and swings, and we can go down and pray for each other at the local YMCA and do the same robotic shit as everybody else. So I got to tell you guys, I'm not interested anymore. Okay. There's no rule book when you're born that says I got to do the same robotic stuff as everybody else. So, yes, we're have a Christmas tree farm. We're going to have all kinds of crazy shit out there. Try to enjoy life, have fun, and as long as the way I look at it, it's my land, my property, my money. And if I design something out there that's worth it, that's all right. When I die, I don't care if anybody ever buys my house, burns it down. They can do whatever they want. So that's the lovely part about being old enough and having the money to do this kind of thing is you can do what you want. Doesn't matter. I don't. No peer pressure included. I'm not winning no awards for it, but I think that besides all the strange things and interesting things that I'm going to be doing out there, I think what's more helpful for a lot of folks to see is you might find, for those of you that do or that have a low income, that seeing this play out from the hardest possible position and seeing a house being built and all may encourage you to utilize your low funds to actually go and build something like what I'm going to do. Okay. Because it's going to show you step by step as you see it. You think I want to go live in an RV in an RV park and build a house and all that? Yeah, I do. But I mean, all this sounds fun until you're out there doing it. And so I'm going to enjoy it. But I mean, let's not make any mistakes here. It's going to be tedious. It's going to take a while. And it's a process. Not everything's going to be fun and real bubbly about it. I expect to encounter lots of issues. I don't have any ties to the city with utilities and everything. We're trying to run power equipment and all that. There'll be lots of problems. But the good news is you get to watch me mess my life up for fun. Just kidding. You get to see me do it. And then it might help some of you exit the Section 8 and voucher thing, go buy you a little piece of land, build you a small house, start small, and then you might find you might have a better quality of life, especially when you don't have the high heel. We'll call it the high heel. So we'll call the housing authority and their spiked high heel on your neck. A lot of you guys are living in a broom closet in New York. Okay. You're living in a little beat down complex with gunshots in LA. Hell, anything would be better than that, including living and having your own piece of land in a small house. Maybe it's 600 square feet. But look, you don't owe nobody nothing. If you own the house and you built it, what bills do you really have? You see my point? By the time I get through with all this in 3 years, guys, what you'll see is that I owe an internet bill. And what it costs me to feed myself and the cost of, the natural things like car insurance and so on. But 85% of the money that all of you guys give away, I won't have that problem. So every month I'll just deposit a pile of cash in my bank account and I just don't worry about it. Me and the cats in the forest and the Christmas tree farm will be doing just fine. Hell, I might sell Christmas trees when I get old. Wouldn't that be nice? We can do consulting and I'll sell Christmas trees. So, anyways, I'm just joking with you guys. All right, guys. So I've enjoyed talking with y'all and just kind of talking about my ideas and concepts. I don't expect y'all to adopt what I do. I mean, it's my life. A lot of you choose to live and do things the way you want to do it. So I'm not suggesting you need to, do anything. But for those of you that need help with Section 8 housing and low income, that is something that I'm actually very good at. Okay, all stuff aside from the house and the cats and all that. That is what I do for people, and I enjoy it immensely. So I'm hoping y'all guys have a great holiday season. Santa Claus comes and visits you, whether you believe or not. You know, it's a good thing. Remember that the season's about the people, the friends, and the people that our support system. It's not about gifts and money and all that. I mean, yeah, that's fun, but it's about those things that make us human, that human connection. And so, for that reason, I hope you guys try to enjoy that. Again, I will not be answering a bunch of emails Christmas week. I'll do my best. If you're new, I will answer them. If you're an old timer, been around the channel, and you're just trying to write a bunch of nonsense to me, I'm going to delete it and keep moving. We've had a real problem with emails and people abusing that privilege. If it continues on its current path, I will turn it off because as much as I love to work for free and go live, I can work for free. So what would end up happening is I'll go live under the bridge with an internet connection, and then I'll just work for free for everybody, and then the advice will go down the toilet. Since I'm unwilling to do that, I'm willing to move to the forest. So, in other words, please, guys, the emails I love to answer, but I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to answer 98 questions, spend an hour and a half in deep thought to write you 55,000 words because you don't want to pay $45 to simply have a 5 minute conversation. So, moving on from that, I'm going to answer a few more questions, and that's it. We're going to wrap it up. Pepper Joe, I agree. That's my plan. Sylvia Santos, yes. Tired of the Section 8 carp. I know what you're saying, crap, and that's what it is. Lilia Jill, you've given me great ideas. Tired of the Georgia crime and high bills. I'm hoping to give lots of you inspiration, but I'm also hoping that you'll be able to utilize those videos to go and purchase you a plot of land and then slowly do this. The thing about it is, guys, you don't need to save $1 million to start. Okay, you can build a 10 by 10 room as long as you got a toilet, a shower, washer, a dryer, electrical connection, some water, brother. You have your own home. And guess what happens when you own the home? You're not paying nobody every month. It means you're keeping all that low income you got. But you got to first arrive there. Or you can continue lining the pocket of the landlord and living in the broom closet. So I'm hoping to show y'all that it's possible if you're capable physically or mentally to do so. Moving on from that, let me take on these last few. OA127 says, looking at natural land all the time, but I don't want to be disabled, virgin in the middle of nowhere and unable to drive. My Eagle Scout side finds it appealing. Well, it's OA127. As far as that concerned, my friend, you do the best you can, and then whatever you get. Same thing when I get out there. Who knows how all of it will play out. I just know one thing. I'm determined. T says, thank you, Jay. Peace and love all here. Don't forget to hit the like button. Oh, yeah. I always forget to say that. Judith, Sove, what are your thoughts of buying HUD homes? I think it's a great idea. You get them for a big discount, and then there's plenty of incentives to attach to it. Coco Lynn, and this will be the last comment. No more comments, guys. This is it. Where did you get all the ideas fast? All the fruition of me landing in the Ozarks and this house and this property was a lifelong thought. Okay, it didn't arrive to me yesterday. These are all the things from childhood up that I would like to test the theory and do, and we're going to achieve that. I'm certainly in a position to do it at this point in life. And there'll be a lot of curious things I'm going to try, and some things will work out, some won't. But sure as the day is long, y'all will see me build a house and many, many other things. We're going to test lots of things that most people wouldn't want to spend money on. So, all right, guys. With that being said, we'll talk again a couple of days before Christmas, and y'all try to enjoy yourself. If you need help, you know where it is. If you want to convolute your case, call 211. The happy lunatics that man the phones at 211 will be happy to give you 1 minute of consulting, giggle, then hang up. Or they'll give you a bunch of worthless fucking numbers that nobody answers, and the information will be the biggest travesty that you've ever seen. Anybody wants to test 211 and 311 and those professionals, that's the other people that help people. So again, if you like free services, they offer them, and they are fantastic. They will actually drive you to the edge of reality and do not a damn thing for you. So, Merry Christmas to 211 and 311 and all the lunatics that work there. All right, guys, y'all have a good one.